Hey there guys, welcome to the video. My name is Pushpinder Gill. In this question, we'll be trying to find the relationship between few variables in an ellipse. So before we go ahead and do that, I suppose you've already watched the first part of ellipse where we understood the definition of an ellipse. Now, if you watched the previous video, you'll definitely know that this is how an ellipse looks like, and this over here, it's the minor axis, this is the major axis, and we have this as A and B, and this is C and D, and we have two focus points, F1 and F2. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to connect these lines like this and lines like this. Okay, now few things that we defined was this was C, and let's say this is O, and we also defined this thing as A and this thing as B, and we have to find the relationship between A, B and C. Now if you understand the definition of an ellipse, you will know that in an ellipse, any point, the sum of distances from two focus points is a constant. So let's suppose I want to talk about 2 points here, and I actually want to talk about this point C, and I want to talk about this point B. Now if I want to talk about these points, I would know that the distance of F1C and the distance of F2C is going to be equal to the distance of F1B plus the distance of F2B, right? Because that is the definition of an ellipse, that the sum of distances from that point to the two focus points is always a constant. So that means they're going to be equal. Now if F1C and F2C is there, now this is something which is B and this is something which is C, right? So that is already there. Now what about, so let me just do one thing. Let me talk about the left hand side and the right hand side individually. Let me first talk about the right hand side. Now what is F1B, right? So this is C and this is also C, and this is A minus C, as we already discussed in the previous video, because this whole thing is A and this is C, so this is A minus C. So F1B, it's going to be equal to C plus A minus C. So this C and this C will get eliminated, and I'll be left with nothing but A plus C. And what about F2B? F2B, it's again, that is actually equal to A minus C. That is F2B, this is F2B, and F1B plus F2B, F1B plus F2B would be equal to A plus C plus A minus C, which is actually equal to 2 times A. So this over here is equal to 2 times A. Now let's try to find F1C. So what is F1C? So if this is 90 degrees and this is B and this is C, using Pythagoras theorem, F1C will actually be equal to under root of B square plus C square. I'm using Pythagoras theorem here. I suppose you know that if this is B and this is C, this is going to be B square plus C square under root. And what about F2C? What about F2C? That is also going to be equal to under root of B square plus C square, because that is also identical, because this is 90 degrees, this is B and this is C. Which means this sum over here is going to be root B square plus C square, root B square plus C square. That is going to be 2 root B square plus C square. Which means at the end of the day, this is something which is equal to root 2 B square plus C square. That is equal to 2 times A. So 2 root B square plus C square is equal to 2 times A. And if I square the whole equation up, I'm going to get 4 times B square plus 4 times C square. That is equal to 4 times A square. Right? That means from here I'm going to get that B square plus C square is equal to A square, and that is the relationship between A, B and C. So suppose you already know what is A. A is nothing but the semi-minor axis, something that we did in the previous video, semi-minor axis, minor. And what, so sorry, semi-major axis, I'm sorry, it's semi-major axis. And what about B? B is semi-minor axis. And what about C? C is the distance between two focus points. So I can clearly say that distance between two focus points is equal to under root of A square minus B square. That is the difference between the under root of the square, difference between the squares of the semi-major axis and the semi-minor axis. That will give you the distance between two focus points. Now let's try to utilize this expression, that is c is equal to under root of a square minus b square, and c over here is the distance between two focus points. So let's talk about some special cases, some special cases for an ellipse. So let's say that if c is equal to 0, so if c is equal to 0 in an ellipse, you already know that this is the focus point 1 and this is the focus point 2. If c is equal to 0, that means if this distance is equal to 0, then a square will actually be equal to b square, which means that this square, this is b, is actually going to be equal to this square, which means the ellipse will become a circle, right? Because this square will be equal to this square, that means ellipse will become a circle. So we can clearly say that the circle is nothing but a special case of an ellipse, right? Circle is a special case of an ellipse when the distance between the two focus points is actually equal to 0, because then this square becomes equal to this square, which means this becomes equal to this, and this becomes equal to this becomes equal to this. That means we have a circle. The next case that I want to talk about is that when c is equal to a. When c is equal to a, then if you kind of plug this into this, that c is equal to a, you just plug a here. So a is going to be equal to under root of a square minus b square, and you kind of square both sides up. A square is equal to a square minus b square, which means you'll get b square to be equal to 0 and b to be equal to 0. So if this length here b is equal to 0, which means the ellipse is gonna be a straight line, right? So it's going to be a straight line where this is the first focus point, this is the second focus point, and that is the midpoint, right? Because this is 0, so it's not gonna rise above and at the bottom. So suppose you're getting this point over here, guys. These are the few focus points. These are the few special cases for an ellipse, and this relationship is pretty important for us to define a lot about the ellipse. So this would be about this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video, and just make sure that you explore this website, that is perfect-scores.com. If you want to ask me questions, you can do that here. This would be our Facebook page to give us your valuable like. If you want to send me across a message, you can always do that at perfectscores89@gmail.com. So this would be about this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.